There's a lot of internet clamor around Claude skills, and if you're still confused about what they are, it's exactly like a prompt, except there's 4 key differences. Number 1, a prompt lives in the chat. A skill lives in a markdown file. That's right. If you take your exact prompt, copy paste it into a markdown file, you name that file skill.md, and upload that file into Claude, then you would have created a skill. A skill is basically a prompt, but it's something that you ask AI to follow over and over again. Technically, if you don't turn your prompt into a skill, that's really fine, except you're going to have to repeat yourself, or you're going to have to retype it over and over. Number 2, a prompt doesn't have an identity. A skill has a name and description. There's 2 ways that the skill can be invoked in a conversation or can be called in a conversation. Number 1, you let Claude decide when it makes sense to use that skill. So Claude carries a list of skills that it has every time it talks to you. It has a name and it has a description. Now, whenever you send in a reply or whenever you talk to it, it always looks at the skills that it has to see if it makes sense to read the instruction inside that skill to accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. The second way it can be invoked is by you typing in / plus the name of your skill. When you do that, you're automatically asking Claude to use that skill as context. Take a look at this sample skill called the humanizer skill. I'm going to read the description real quick. It says, use whenever the user asks to humanize or make the sound human or rewrite to avoid sounding like an AI, etc., etc. So now when you are talking to Claude and you say anything to that effect, like help me improve this writing, I need this to sound more human, it will invoke that skill. There's another reason that it's built this way. It's because it saves you some tokens. Imagine if Claude always loads up your skill instruction every time it talks to you, even when the conversation isn't necessarily relevant to that skill. This way, Claude only carries the name and the description, so it always has context of the available skills that it has. Only when it is relevant will it go ahead and open the skill.md file, read your instruction, and use that as context. Third difference, a prompt is usually very short. A skill is usually a long, drawn-out instruction on how to execute or to accomplish something. A lot of times people use it to create SOPs or processes, and when it gets complex enough, people usually split it into multiple files to save on tokens. So let's look at a sample skill here. It's called the last 30 day skill. Its skill.md file has about 1,700 lines of instructions. It's too much. You type in / last 30 days plus any topic, and the skill will pull up what people are actually saying on Reddit, on threads, on social media, on YouTube, etc., all from the last 30 days. It's one skill, but if you look at the filing system, it's not just a skill.md file. Actually, the author created a Python file for the main engine that does the research. It's called last30days.py. There's a lot of helper files. If Claude has to load all this instruction every time in every single conversation, that's a lot of wasted tokens. So it only loads what it needs and when it needs it. Okay, and finally, the last and everybody's favorite difference is that with a prompt, you'll have to write it or type it yourself. With a skill, you don't need to, because Claude has a skill creator skill, very meta, that is tasked to create the skill for you. You just talk to Claude, just like with any normal conversation, tell it what you have in mind, what you want to build, what process you're thinking of, and Claude will help you think through that process and write that as a skill.